Hey there, everybody. Parks Owsley here. Welcome back to the Esports Pro Panel. This is episode 3. Thank you for joining us. I am joined by Invert and Inero. Thank you all for coming. How are you all doing right now?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
Yeah, pretty relaxed, but it's because it's off season, so just getting used to having that break. But I guess for coaches, your off season isn't a true off season because you're doing your best to kind of be prepared for summer. So.
Pretty much, but that's not bad.
Trying to take a little break. So we are here in the Esports One office. Esports One is a real-time stats and data company. They use computer vision and deep learning to capture game data, and they have a computer always running. It's super smart. Smarter than even both of you, probably.
Combined?
Combined. But we'll test that. We'll actually test that later because we've got a quiz that we compiled some stats that computer has gotten for us. So let's see, maybe you can beat it. It's like our little Jazz Stats thing, the computer version, but we don't have a jingle. Maybe next time. But yeah, drop Esports One a follow on Twitter. We've got them in the overlay. We've got their Twitter. We've got our Twitters as well. So we're trying. This is really just a big clout game. So if you could please follow us, we're all.
I believe none of us are verified.
Yeah. Actually, wait.
I'm verified.
Oh really?
Oh, don't follow Inero. He's already
all
made it.
fake.
Yeah.
But so today we'll be reviewing the LCS playoffs. We're focusing on the finals, of course, because that's coming up. TSM versus Team Liquid is going to be a really big match on Saturday. So we'll get to that in a little bit. Before we do that, though, I actually am curious about what you think, who will win. So head over to the Esports One Twitter right now. We don't have our Twitch poll integrated in yet. So we're going to do a poll on Twitter. Go to that Esports One Twitter. I think someone's going to throw it in the chat, and we're going to have a poll there. Do you think TSM is going to win? Do you think Team Liquid's going to win? I'm going to remind you later, or for all the viewers who come in a little bit. But I want to see what you think compared to what these guys think when we discuss that matchup. But vote now. Don't wait until they give you all the answers. I want you know, it's like, what's that meme about the cheating? You cheated yourself. You cheated the game.
Oh, yeah.
You can't be happy. I wish I knew that.
That's a really good. That's a good one that just came out.
So don't cheat yourself. Go vote now. And yeah, so that does it. Before we begin, I want to congratulate both of you for, you had a great split. And not only did you get to cap off that split, making it to the playoffs, but now you ended up on the premier playoff podcast. So really, you're doing very well for yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's jump into some Q&A first, kind of while people are still coming in. We don't want to get started too quickly. So first, I met both of you at Scouting Grounds. Or I guess I've talked to you before that, but we really met at Scouting Grounds, so that was cool. It's nice to see you both again. So to get into that, what do you look for when you're actually scouting a player? And you don't both have to answer, by the way. Like if there's a good answer, you can just like do a thumbs up or whatever. Yeah.
Copy paste.
Because I got a bunch of questions, so. Like a lot of these players are really good, like they get good based on intuition or feel or something like that. You as coaches, obviously, it's kind of your job to, break things down a little bit more, be a little bit more calculated. So what are you looking for in a new player, and what do you have to kind of actually train players on? Is it, like doing math in the game or like specific movements, rotations? So yeah.
Who wants to go first? How do we do this?
You can start. We'll go.
I'm just making sure. I don't want to do it like awkwardly. We both start talking at the same time, and then it's like a dominance game.
No, we can do like a.
All right, sounds good. So especially for like scouting around stuff, but just kind of in general, I'm usually looking out for how players are actually playing laning phase and how like confident they're playing it and how well they're actually playing around that and abusing the advantages they have purely in laning. And then outside of that, it's mainly just their like attitude and approach towards the game. And if they have that like competitive mentality that is kind of, it's not something you can just make. You can't make someone suddenly competitive and have that drive. It's just one of those intangible things you usually look for. But I look for like laning phase stuff and how they play out that, because everything outside of laning phase is usually straightforward to teach. And all that is stuff that you can't really like pick up from solo queue. You can get something from it, but it's a whole different game.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say most of the time, like it's very teachable, and also they have a lot of ideas of what happens outside of lane phase that are normally just wrong too. So
it's pretty normal.
Yeah, it is normal, and it's also, again, because that stuff is teachable. Talking about teachability, that's something that I really focus on as well, in terms of how well they function in an environment around staff and around other players as well. So how they approach being actual teammates and how they approach being tutored by staff is also another important aspect alongside what Inero's talking about with respect to lane phase and like how they play certain matchups, and winning their winning matchups and losing gracefully in those losing matchups are obviously very important and signs of a good mechanical player, right? So that, and then competitive attitude, obviously, how much they actually want to be a pro, how passionate they are about that, whether it's like just a cash grab or they're actually in it for grander reasons. And then, as well for me, the teachability and coachability, as well as how they function in a team environment. Because oftentimes in scouting grounds, these players are pulled from outside of their rooms and into like this kind of group environment for the first time, or maybe in this kind of LCS type learning environment for the first time. So seeing how they react to that and respond to those cues is important.
So attitude big, and then I like the teachability component.
Yeah.
If they're good at the things that are hard to teach, but bad at the things that are easy to teach, that's fine.
Yeah.
Cool. So what element of coaching then is kind of different? Let's see. It's the most difficult to keep a positive morale. Let's see. Let me reword this.
Sure.
So like on some of these harder things, so like motivating them, to practice more, to be more competitive, to be more of a team player. Like how do you kind of get through some of the like more difficult parts and like intangible parts of being a coach?
Like what do you mean by that?
So like, let's say you're bad at drafting, you can get better at drafting by looking at more drafts and talking to people about drafts and the meta and stuff. But if it's like understanding a player and like something a player is struggling with, or an environmental problem, kind of the intangibles.
Yeah.
Like how do you approach that?
Usually intangible things, a lot of it isn't stuff you could just straight up fix. Like if a guy's an asshole, you're not going to magically make him not, right? It's just his personality, and it's how it's going to be. And usually a lot of that stuff that I've found is more on the like team building aspect of things, and making sure that when you're looking at players and looking at like the culture that you're wanting, that you're getting people that kind of mesh with that idea and that already kind of fit that culture, and you build around that. You'll get younger guys that'll come in and like they'll be like slightly off of it or whatever, but they usually slowly mold into that, because it's just like in high school, like college, like as you grow up, you're gonna run into like cliquey stuff in schools, and you're kind of shaped by the people around you, and you're more likely to be like peer pressured into doing things a certain way. You come into a team environment and you've created a culture that you want. The new guys coming in are gonna naturally be forced to like assimilate to that, or they'll just find themselves in another team. So as long as you're building up at least like a good core of what you want your culture to be, those guys and those intangibles, usually you're already naturally getting people that fit that. And if they have areas they don't, you're basically growing them to have as much of it as you can.
Mm-hmm. So I want to echo that, and also say, even in instances where someone has an aspect of their personality that kind of sits outside of that, you can almost like weaponize that to make that a positive presence in your culture. So when, for example, in the FlyQuest environment, everyone is especially considered by people in the scene to be like very nice and very like open, positive people. But there's an element of that as well where, because we're so open, we can be brutally honest with each other, and we can weaponize that fact and that opportunity where someone is a bit more crude in their criticism, and we're able to like bring that into that environment regardless, and still make that a part of our culture regardless. So
You sound like, were you ever a camp counselor?
No, never.
Because that's a tool that they would I was for a couple years. That was a tool. They were like, if you got the kid who's kind of on the outside, like figure out how to weaponize that, and then you can kind of reframe it.
Because someone can be an asshole totally, but the motivations for being an asshole vary wildly, right?
Yeah.
So if someone's an asshole just because like they're just a complete asshole and they just like don't understand like what is moral and what is not moral, etc. Like,
Yeah.
like that's a little harder. But if someone's an asshole because they really want to win,
It's
that's very different, right? So learning the motivations of that aspect of their personality, and again weaponizing that and bringing that into that culture is another way as well that you can really help with that. So
nice. If you could be, we'll get a little less serious now.
cool.
If you could be as big brained as you are in League at anything else in the world, what would it be?
Okay. You go first
Sure.
if you want. I'll pass the torch.
Yeah, I mean, before I was a league coach, I did political science in university, and that's something that I still am super passionate about, and I guess I still have an interest, and hopefully I'm still like like big brained at it, like in understanding that and like being able to process and analyze those things. So I would like to keep that up, just my education in political science and political theory and stuff. So
Do you follow America more now, or are you still looking at
when I was
Canada?
in university, it was like mostly Canadian, American, and Chinese politics because that was like my thesis focus. So
Interesting.
yeah, so Chinese politics would be like a big one, and then American politics, obviously, I'm kind of following peripherally.
forced to follow.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
I got the podcasts on deck. I got my 538 and whatnot. So
Nice.
yeah,
I guess for me, it'd probably be cars. I really like
fixing
racing.
cars.
No, just everything around cars, like with racing, like actually being able to like work on them and like do it. Like my dad's a mechanic, and he drag races just for fun and builds cars for fun. And I didn't know anything about that, and I was not good at learning it, and it wasn't like a big interest for me because I was like sports, and then when I couldn't do sports, I got into esports. It's probably cars because I don't know, I love racing. That'd be kind of cool to be able to mess with cars and be able to race with my dad or something.
The other thing I think we both would do, because we were talking about this like before the show as well, is cooking probably. I think cooking would be
I'm already
a good
big brain
answer.
at cooking.
Yeah,
so
but,
there's no
but
point
just like keeping that up,
anymore.
Like,
Yeah.
Because I'm sure if we're big brain, if we take our big brain league IQ and transfer it over to cooking, we could be like Michelin star chefs or something.
It's also implying we have a big brain league.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, for
that's
sure.
no guarantee.
What if we're just dumbing ourselves down?
Yeah, just all the players. You just have like you're just good at spreadsheets.
It's like
or
Space
something.
Jam. Like they put
Oh,
their
yeah.
thing in the basketball.
Yeah, that's it. Weirdest habit that one of your players has had, either in or out of game.
Ole pees before every scrim game, and then in between like all the games on stage in best of 5, always pees before. It's like a ritual for him. Like he pees immediately afterwards. He always goes to the bathroom. It's interesting.
I wonder if there's a story like one time he didn't, and it was just super bad, and now he's just like every time I must go.
Yeah, I think the only other like not weird but like different or one that sticks out is when I was on Equifox at Dardock. Every day before the games, his ritual was to like his habit was always playing these like mobile games, and he would have to beat his high score on one of the mobile games before he played, or we lost. Like we started losing when he was losing on those, so it's like an actual thing. It's pretty tragic.
He should just start a new game every time.
That's what he started doing.
And then the
Just
score is
play,
0.
That's
and
legitimately what he said. He'd just play a new game and then just beat the non-existent high score on it.
So that is
So
big
that
brain.
was like an interesting habit that he had, but I mean, he's really good at mobile games too. He's a smart man for sure.
I would say Pobelter. He has Sichuan mapo tofu every night after all our scrims are done. Every single night, no matter what, he will eat Sichuan mapo tofu.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's commitment.
Yeah, and
It's like a Snapchat streak that you just can't let it go.
yeah. For Viper, I would say his habit is he has to have boba every single day. Like that's a thing that I don't know if that's like a league player thing too, because it's pretty popular in the league community. But for him specifically, like he has to have boba every
Korean
single day.
barbecue, boba, every day
And
possible.
hot pot.
Every
Yeah.
Always the same. No differences.
Yeah.
What would be the most interesting meta to coach through? So even if you haven't coached through it, but like lane swap meta or something. Any metas that you're like,
if we could
wish.
combine funnel with lane swap,
Ooh.
I think that would be really, really fun to coach.
Did you work when lane
did.
swapping was a thing?
No, but I did funnel.
It wasn't that fun.
But funnel meta.
Was it fun when it started though? Like someone starts doing it and you're like, oh wait, let's try
This
this.
is pretty boring.
Really?
I mean, when I came in, it was already like kind of an established thing that would happen. But
'cause by
it's
then
pretty
it was
boring. It's pretty
jacked.
straightforward. Like there's a reason everyone was doing it. It was just the best thing to do. So it's just like you do this every game, and if you mess up the steps, then you messed up. You're gonna lose.
You get
so
4K behind.
you literally, it was
in
just you
10
have to do
minutes.
this dance every game, and if you mess the dance up, oh well. I guess we're losing now.
I definitely think funnel meta is.
Funnel meta was fun.
It's really fun, and it's
really
the most
liked
fun to coach. And my players, at least for them, it's the most fun to play.
All
I think,
of them?
I think funnel meta really tests like a coach's understanding of jungling too, which I really appreciate as well.
What about the double jungle top laner TP?
The what?
That was
Or
like,
like-
what, season?
Are you talking about like season 2, like the Dignitas?
No. Oh,
Generic
I guess
thing?
they did it back then. I think it repeated for a couple patches in like 4 or 5.
Right.
But yeah, I guess that doesn't.
I
Anyway,
don't remember that at all.
Yeah,
Little-
me neither.
That must have been before I was even playing.
Because I didn't start watching till season 3, so I know it had to have.
I didn't start playing until season 3, so.
I'm a beta
Got it.
boy.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That was that
How
like
you wanna
20
describe
years?
yourself?
I did
Just
that on
no
purpose.
context?
I on purpose.
Just
I wanted
someone
to,
clip just
I-
those
I'm
Fly
like 3
Invert.
seconds.
Yeah.
I'm a beta boy.
yeah, been playing since beta, so.
All right, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna ask this, and then we'll move on after this. I'm curious. So I know you talked about this already.
Sure.
I want to ask about the coach of the split thing, and because both of you were called out in a lot of the votes, either mostly second and third, and then I think it ended up being. I don't think either of you made it right in the top 3. So maybe like 4th and 5th. You're probably competing. We could someone add it up. But what do you think? Because I know like people are like, well, it should have been one of these 2 guys because they, coach of the split should be like a team that is expected to do kind of in the middle, and they
Or like
do that or
whatever
better.
position,
Yeah.
and they exceed
Or like Song, because people were like, oh, Fox was rated super low, but then they still made playoffs.
Yeah.
But then it goes to Reaper, who obviously Cloud9 was second. He's gotten it before. But then you had you said, well, Reaper is kind of driving the meta of North America.
Yeah, that's like my personal experience with it. Like when we scrim Reaper and C9, and then we'll see other teams and what they're playing, and it's often a reflection of C9. And then I think with C9, I think Reaper has set up that team so well with respect to everyone, and their fundamentals on C9 are so solid that they can kind of plug in and play different champions, such that that baseline quality of gameplay is still there, and they're still able to test out things. And I think a lot of other NA teams are not as comfortable doing that. And I just think that foundation is so solid, and I've learned so much in scrimming C9 compared to other teams that, for me, that was kind of the obvious choice.
And you think it's more of like Reaper and what he is doing with the team?
Yeah, I don't think it has any. I really, for placing, like the whole exceeding expectations thing, like there's such a confluence of factors that can determine that. I don't think it's specifically the holistic coaching staff of a team that just determines that, right? So.
And for me, I think the award's really stupid. I mean, there's literally the comments in the thread should literally tell you enough where people are saying that like I should be one of the nominations for it, and we literally had posted a video already saying that Jimmy was our head coach.
Jimmy. Yeah, no.
So people literally don't even like understand who has the actual job, and then they're commenting on like what we're actually doing. So it's like, dude, it doesn't matter.
I mean, the award exists in like traditional sports and stuff, and the same debate always happens where like people don't really understand. Like Dwayne Casey from the Toronto Raptors won NBA Coach of the Year last year, and a lot of that is reflective of like the record, and the Toronto Raptors did very well for themselves last year, but he was still like fired like that season where he won Coach of the Year. And you know, even in any competitive environment, like Coach of the Year is such a nebulous award compared to every other award, and it's just about like what your personal opinion on what that award means. And I think it should exist, because not just because it exists everywhere else, but you know, like I think coaches should get some credit for something sometimes. Hopefully.
I genuinely just don't care.
Yeah.
like if we're not winning, who cares what the award is?
That's true. That's true too.
I think it's all just speculation.
Yeah, it is a lot of speculation, no matter what.
It's like, hey, pick the MVP of the split,
similar,
but don't watch any games. You're not allowed to watch them play, but you must pick the MVP. It's like that's basically what the award is. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, because we don't actually know.
Yeah, like for all you know, like
well, even MVP is still weird because people are like, oh, it has to be best player, best team, no matter what, or it's like, oh, it has to be the most, like the player that
drag their team across the finish line.
Irreplaceable.
I mean, that's the same thing again to go back to the NBA. Like that's what's happening right now, right? Like Giannis is the best player on the best team, and then Harden like dragged the corpse of the Houston Rockets through early parts of the season to put them in the playoffs, right? Like there's so again like for these awards, it's always like how you define what the award means to you, and then you just vote based on that. And then, you know, I think that's fine. And we should have end of split awards just because, like,
it's just
fans are interested
fun.
in it.
It's really just like a fun thing for players to have like some pride in, and for fans to be like,
absolutely.
oh, we can talk about this now.
Yeah, and I think
say,
that's okay.
I disagree or I agree.
Yeah.
And then it's just abuse them.
Awesome. All right, that does it for the Q&A. We'll probably go back. If you have any questions that I didn't already ask, you can type them up now or whenever. We've got a guy sifting through, but we'll do like a Twitch chat Q&A later. So if you forget, then we'll check on it later as well. But also remember, if you didn't hear earlier or if you forgot, go vote in the Twitter poll. The Esports One link for the Twitter is in the overlay.
Who's gonna win?
Go there.
Who's gonna win, guys?
Who's gonna win? Team Liquid or TSM? Who's gonna get the 6th title? Bjork Center Double Lift. Okay, so we're gonna do a quiz. So since this is a real-time stats and data company, we have a quiz compiled by a stats guy, which was recorded by a computer guy.
Okay.
An actual computer, not a guy. So we're gonna start off with some player questions. This is a competition. We have a trophy and a shirt.
Yeah.
Do you have buzzers to like buzz in, or
No,
like is it like a back and forth, or do you have to like?
you start answering or just talk over him really loudly?
Yeah, just talk over each other really loudly.
Okay.
Like punch each other in the throat, and
It's
then,
like pummel party.
and it'll be really easy. No, if it's a tie, then it's a tie. I don't think you'll get them. Most of them you'll probably have to think about.
Where's
for at
the
least a second.
confidence? What the heck?
No, I think you will get them.
Get them?
I don't think it's gonna be like Family Feud, where it's like, oh, easy.
Yeah.
I know
We'll
at least
see.
the top 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see for sure.
So first, we're gonna start with some player questions.
Okay.
Which player had the lowest first blood percentage in spring?
Is it like all
Kill or
roles?
assist?
Like all roles?
All roles.
Okay, well this one we're definitely not answering fast.
Low. Well,
You should know
I
this.
know highest.
Demonte.
Otto.
No, it's actually Pobelter.
Oh wow.
Only one
Wow, you don't know your
killer
player
assist.
well enough.
See, that's what I was expecting you to actually get them. Only one killer assist in the 19 games that you played.
All right, so now we know the trend for the questions. It's
Look,
going to be like related to
one
our
of
team.
our-
No,
It's
not,
gonna be like
not all of
two-
them. Not all of them are.
And now we know that. Not
We do actually. For anyone who was watching last week,
Wait, was
or the
this
week before?
Was this like based like a barrier of games played? Because I'm sure there are people with like 0%. Like if people
I
had played
think-
like.
I think probably, yeah, probably
Because
anyone.
I guess like Otto.
Yeah, so we should
could've
definitely
been-
get
that
points. because
actually
it was
makes
a bad
sense.
question.
Yeah.
So we both
It's a
get
bad
1 point.
question. Both get 1 point for sure.
So we're on the scoreboard.
These stats are flawed.
I'm sorry to Lewis, our stats guy, because every week they're gonna complain, but it's because they're salty, and probably because I.
I just wanted like a
job
games restriction, or like a
Yeah.
of these people who like play
That's
5
fair.
or more games.
I should have thought of that.
Yeah.
All right. not considering wait. Actually, no. This one doesn't even need any restrictions. Who led LCS in solo kills with 10?
With 10.
10 solo kills. And not who killed solo the most, but
yeah. I mean, solo got one game where he had like 3.
I don't know.
I'm gonna.
I have no clue. Bjergsen.
It was. I don't think it was Beard.
Just for fun.
I honestly, solo or Darshan. I would say solo.
Ooh. Darshan?
Darshan had a few as well.
it was neither of them. It was a mid laner though. It was Crown.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right.
And then Froggen was second. So you could have.
I mean, I guess he had enough Parthos games. And
actually, just sitting in mid lane by himself, getting random.
I guess that's a solo kill.
The jungler's low. I think he walked over a ward.
Yeah.
Dead. All right. Let's see. Jensen led all of the full-time players. We've got the games here for you with a 14.2 KDA, which is really impressive. He's the first full-time player to finish a split with more than 9.5 KDA since summer 2015. And who was that player? Summer 2015, someone had a better KDA than 9.5.
I don't remember who was playing on the teams in 2015. I don't know the year.
And this was before you were coaching.
Yeah, it was.
So Bjergsen?
I'll tell you, they played this split.
They played
It was
this
not
split?
Bjergsen.
Summer 2015 was.
That was when Double F still entered.
Yeah.
I just don't remember what teams were playing.
Oh, yeah.
I had literally just.
It was on Team Liquid.
I was thinking Phoenix, but probably not. Because.
You've won again.
The Jat stats.
Yeah.
Any final? It wasn't Phoenix.
No.
It was Piglet.
Piglet.
Yeah, with a 9.9 KDA.
Wow, that's a shocker.
But yeah, there have been a
That
bunch
was
that
the
were close.
Dardoch, Piglet, Phoenix, Matt team.
Yeah, I guess.
Or low.
Oh,
That must have
actually,
been that
Santorin had a 9.0 that
Yeah.
summer as well.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, Lucas.
I should have asked that
His
one.
2015.
You just had that
really...
info just locked
No,
in.
no, his
Oh, I knew
2015
that.
was like really good.
I
Yeah,
knew
it
his
was-
KDA was 9.
I know.
No,
Why are you telling
I
me
knew
this?
he did very well for himself.
Santorin reminds me of this every day.
You're like, he reminds him. He's like, your KDA in summer was 9.0.
I mean,
It's
it's
not
I know
9.0
he has the
now.
highest jungle KDA regular season.
Wait, well, wasn't it? What was that random stat about like Medias had like some ridiculous KDA or something?
Yeah,
for
it's like
2 games?
20. Oh, over 2 games. I know
Yeah.
like his entire like season.
I think it was
3
something like he came on.
Season 3 summer was like 23 something.
Yeah.
22 point something.
Okay, we're gonna go to some champion stats. Which champion has a 100% presence in playoffs so far and has never been played?
Silas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super
That champ's
easy.
broken.
That
I'm
champ
sure it's
is-
going to stay 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which other champ has a 100% presence though? Has been played.
I would have said Jace, but Jace didn't get
No.
played in the Echo Fox one,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because those teams don't do it. They were not having fun with it.
Close though. Or just he was up there. I think it was like 90%.
Yeah, he was fairly close because other teams.
Probably shout out to.
Wait, would it be like
Braum-
Lysandra?
Braum
No.
Or,
Not Liz, because
no,
teams stopped
Lit-
playing it because
we
it was losing.
stopped, yeah.
Because of the
Well, no,
We
no.
dropped Liz.
You guys dropped it, but we still picked it.
Yeah,
Or when you banned like Vel'Koz, we still picked it.
yeah. I would say Braum. I think Braum is up there.
I think Braum was all but one, if I remember correctly. It's actually Aurelia.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. 'Cause-
Only played 3 times, but
Yeah,
banned
we played
the other
it.
14.
We played it all 3 times.
Oh yeah. Which was the most banned champ in Spring Split
Most banned in spring.
throughout the whole split?
Okay.
It's
I'm trying to think of what was banned right before
it's
this
Lucian,
patch.
isn't it?
Uh,
Lucian was hard purple
teams
banned
stopped
for-
banning Lucian because they were.
No,
just
but
big
it was
guys.
like four patches. It was like a clear red side ban. It was like
no, people stopped banning it though.
Yeah.
Because they would just play Ezreal into it.
Yeah.
Because Lucian lost every fucking
Yeah,
game.
yeah. Because you just upscale.
I imagine it would probably still be like, no, Urgot disappeared for a while, but Aatrox
It's like
is still around.
Cassio Lucian.
I could see Cassio remaining for a while, but
It was Cassio.
probably because of Clutch, like, because they were flexing it,
Yeah.
teams kept banning it just in case.
Yeah.
It was
And then, like,
Cassio and then Lucian and then Jace.
Yeah. That's what.
And
that's
Cass and Lucian were 58, 56, and
Yeah.
then Jace was 47.
Yeah, I remember.
So those two.
I remember there was like a good 6 weeks where that was like all you were banning
Yeah.
on red side. It was so brutal.
What was the most picked champ in spring?
Would it just be
Aatrox.
Aatrox?
Mm-mm.
No. Ezreal?
Yeah, Ezreal
Is it?
sounds.
Yeah, Aatrox isn't even in the top 3.
Oh wow.
Interesting.
Ezreal at 48. I think it's because nobody banned Ezreal
Because
as much.
most people ended up on Urgot and Scion rather
Yeah.
than Urgot
Yeah,
Aatrox.
Aatrox. Yeah, or Aatrox Scion.
And then Braum was second, and Tom Kench was third.
Yeah, Ezreal
Yeah.
makes sense. That was everyone's just, y'all blind us.
Yeah.
The team thing.
You do something about it.
One champion was picked only 2 times, and it won both games. And the KDA of that champion is 18. Which champion is it?
Picked 2 times on both games.
Was each time a separate role?
I can't. I actually don't remember.
Oh, yeah, because it could be like Talia or something.
Yeah.
And they flexed.
Yeah.
So
What's
that,
your-
that probably means it's not.
I don't
It's
remember.
not Talia.
Pick 2 times. It's not Cillian.
Thought you were looking at like a champion. It is Talia?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I was curious. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Alright, so you baited me.
I don't
I
remember.
was
if it
guessing
was-
Talia, and then you're like, I don't know if it likes
I don't
okay,
know.
can't. No, because C9A played it, didn't they, against Clutch when they played?
And I think Bjergsen also played.
Yeah.
And
Bjergsen
then
played it.
yeah, Clutch lost pretty hard.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, Talia's
so
a,
it makes sense.
I think Talia's a weird champ,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
All right. On from that, going to just a couple random stats. Which 2 players finished the LCS season with a perfect KDA? And no game restrictions required here.
Okay, well it wasn't Otto.
yeah, C9.
I can't like Kumo maybe.
Yeah, not Keith. Keith died in that game.
Yeah, Diamond died.
Diamond died.
Did Blabber die? I mean, it's Blabber, so I'm sure he had to have died.
Yeah.
Like once.
Probably
Like
must
he
have
has a
died.
high KDA, but he
Yeah.
surely died.
Surely died.
So I think probably
Kumo would
is
be one. Not
And-
Maxi, because
No, because we.
oh no, Maxi died once that game in the tiebreaker.
Wait, but it's regular season, so.
No, that
Tiebreaker.
Oh, does that count?
Tiebreakers are in regular.
Yeah.
Which is odd, but
So Kumo's one, right?
yeah, Kumo's
Yeah.
one.
Okay, Kumo's
Yeah.
one. Who are the other rookies that played? Or like they just got
Asta
their like
died.
one game. Yeah, he died.
Panda
Otto died.
died a lot.
Hannah definitely died.
He played enough games to where he would have died. None of the people that played a lot.
I'll
of
tell you,
games
it's in the
were
last week.
Golden
in the
Blue.
last week.
Yep.
Oh
Was it Golden Blue?
no! It was in the last week, so it was probably
You actually already
one.
you already said him, but
It's Blabber.
you discounted him. No, it wasn't Blabber.
Diamond.
It was Diamond.
Really?
Diamond.
2-0-13.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought he died.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my
good
bad.
for him.
My bad that I counted him out so fast.
They were like, it wasn't Diamond.
At least we
Definitely-
got Kumo.
Definitely that dude.
No, because
died.
I remember Keith died in that game.
Yeah.
Like he was like 7-1 something.
Mm-hmm.
So I
That
just
was-
thought they
that
both
was
died
Diamond.
because
Who had the shortest game?
us versus Echo Fox.
Yeah, that's kind of cheating. Who had the
Scam
longest game?
Longest game was
Is that one of the TSM ones?
TSM versus
Because it like bumped their average game. Time or
yeah,
something.
yeah, really crazy. It was
Oh,
100
really?
thieves, I think.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was.
TSM 100
Week
thieves.
7, 54 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's excessive.
yeah.
It's a little long.
All right, wait. So I wasn't counting perfectly, but I'm pretty sure Invert
Pretty sure
won
you'd win.
Whoops.
by like 2 or 3. Whoops.
Pretty sure.
I mean, because
So-
sometimes, you know, the
So
Talia one.
The biggest brain.
Just
Oh
pick up.
yeah. No, that one counted. Pretty sure you got a few extra.
Nice.
So
Sick.
Do I get to like take
You
the
could-
shirt out, pour all my water
Yeah,
in here,
I-
and then
drink
it's
out of the cup.
it's for sure clean in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can the producers confirm that the trophy is clean?
Yeah, I don't think so.
It is. You can confirm that. You can confirm that the trophy is
I don't think it's clean for water.
for drinking.
That's probably a hard pass.
Clean up
At your own risk, yeah. Let's we'll sign a. I don't think so.
No, it's
probably
not. I already saw dust.
That's
Yeah, here, I'll do it. Let me test it for you. All right, so let's move on to the matches. We've got some things to discuss here. Before we do, though, again, go to Twitter if you have not. There's a Twitter poll. We're going to talk about the matches, but we want to see what you guys think. Obviously, yeah, it's on Esports 1, which is in the overlay. All right, so I want to break down the style that these two teams play. We'll talk about, like, obviously the strengths that they have, maybe some ways that they can be exploited, and, you know, so like win conditions for them. And then I guess at the end we can talk about like what would be better for international play based on that. Sure. So even if, you know, if we think like one team will win but the other would be better for international, that's fine. Yeah, that's kind of the general thought here. So I guess since you just played Team Liquid, do you want to talk about kind of the style that you feel like they're utilizing right now? I know they were in a slump at the end of the season.
Yeah.
You know,
rumors of their death have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing with TL is you always know that they do have a bot-centric style, but their players are experienced enough that they can play anything particularly well. And I think the community kind of downplays that sometimes, that they are able to play different styles particularly well if they need to, on a North American level at the very least, right? They showed in our series to be a little more creative than they otherwise were during the regular season. So that's something that fans of Team Liquid can look forward to and appreciate about that finals. They can come out with a lot of different stuff, like the Sonateric they brought out in Game 1. That's something that TSM has shown that if they fall to it, they're just going to ban it for the rest of the series, which means that they probably don't play it. And, you know, this week, practice, I know for teams was like a little rough because there's no third, fourth place match. So teams don't have people to scrim against for the most part, to my understanding.
Their academy team was the first ones that played it. And like, I know teams were scrimming with it before then.
Yeah, of course.
Their academy team played it, so they should at least
know what to do
by now.
Yeah. So we'll see if they do, and there are different ways to tackle it or play against it. So we'll see if teams start to adapt to that and pick up on that. The way that TSM tried to counter it was with like a lane that matched scaling, but it didn't. Vayne Lulu, but it didn't really work out. And so let's see if they adapt to that or if they just have to ban it throughout the series again. I think they'll leave it up Game 1 and see what happens. That's what most people do. So,
or they'll consider playing it. I mean, I know throughout the split, like Sven was practicing a lot of the like off meta bot lanes. I don't think they ever popped up during the split, but he was playing all of that stuff at the start. So could happen. Yeah. But I think like being able to play against it is really important, and I think playing against it is actually really not that easy.
Yeah, I think it's similar to Funnel. It's like
something you'd have to like practice stuff against and work out, and if they don't have like clear teams they can practice against, or like it's just academy they can play against, it's gonna be so hard for them to actually test stuff enough to be confident enough to say like, yeah, this is how you beat it.
Yeah,
that'll be difficult.
I kind of said this in my interview earlier, but it reminds me of Funnel in that it's on the non-Sonateric lane to not fuck up. And that's the like underlying issue with that lane is you have a lot of chances with that lane. And so it's on the non-Sonateric lane to not fuck up. And to Inero's point, I also don't know if I can swear on this or not. Sorry about that.
Want to keep it to a minimum.
Oops. But it's on them not to mess up. And also to Inero's point, like if they don't have good enough practice to understand like what gives them the biggest like buffer room against Sonateric, that's probably going to make it a pretty difficult thing across the series if they have to play against it.
It's just easier to pick up and play Sonateric than it is to play against it.
It's
100%. The same as Funnel. Like it was easier to just play the Funnel side than it was to play against it. And like the teams that tried to play against it got eventually good over time. Like I know in Echo Fox we were trying like really hard to do stuff to play against it and trying different things, and we eventually like landed on stuff that was working pretty consistently. But There hasn't been enough time for teams to actually like work it out.
For us, like we know some strats against Sonateric, but just again, they're so high execution, and it's hard to kind of figure out immediately what's good against it. Like what's clearly like a hard counter.
A hard counter.
I mean,
do you think it's worth it to have someone just like dedicated to that, like the counter strategy, just to try and bait it for a game, and then you don't have to waste bans on it the rest of the time? And then like if you bait the enemy into picking it, you hard counter it and it works.
well, that's
And
the
then,
You have to
they have
you
to
have to
ban
find
You have to
the
find the
right-
hard counter.
So
and,
also,
and
do
if you
think
don't
it's-
have it, and also when you're scrimming other teams, there's no guarantee they're going to play it the entire time, so you're not going to have as many
Well, if
games
it's
to
your
kind
academy,
of look through it.
really?
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be worth
I mean,
spamming games
So
against them? To
that's
try
like ideal world scenario where
Yeah.
you're like you have a good enough system where your academy and LCS team like practicing internally feels good enough all the time that you can confidently say like, if you do this strategy against us, we trust that this is going to work because the strategy is correct and not just because we have 5 people that should theoretically be better individually, like as a team and all together as a whole to just beat you. Because usually like that's how it should work. Like your LCS team should be beating your academy team. So if you're just winning, it could just be because you're like they're
Then you
a
flip-flop
top
it.
2 LCS team. They're
Yeah.
probably beating their academy
Yeah.
team. It's gonna make knowing for sure a little hard, and they may not want to be able to risk that. Like they might have something, and if they do, that's like really good for the series because if they can play it and then also counter it, then it makes like TL like they have to be the ones who ban it if they don't have an answer.
Yeah.
So it can be like really tricky overall. It's
Yeah.
not just as easy as find the counter and then you beat them, like because that takes a lot of confidence to figure out.
Yeah. 100% agree.
So that was a large tangent, but
Yeah.
a useful one. But going over to TSM side, do you want to talk about kind of their style, and we can compare it to TL after that.
I mean, I hate commenting on teams' styles too much, especially in North America, where a lot of teams kind of, it's not that they bounce around, but it's hard to tell like what a team is actually wanting to commit to their team style being, because at some point you're going to need wins, and you start doing this like, okay, we're just going to pick the scale and just chill and hope the other team messes up because it works and it gets you wins. But TSM's done a lot of like different things that like, show that they can do different stuff. Like against our team, like we picked the scale because we were like, we're just going to try this and see if it works. That was our last match versus them, and they picked Lysandra mid and then a Callista ball lane. Which is
And
those champions are OP.
They got
Champions-
triple infernal. Right?
Yeah. Well, those like they could have gotten 0 dragons that game and still stopped us with what they had because they played it. They played it well. They played it correctly and they did what they needed to do. So the fact that they could do that with that comp, because like our players aren't pushovers in lane. Like we picked stuff that we thought we could consistently play through, and they just did it correctly. They did what they were supposed to. So I know they can do early game stuff like that and play around it well enough when it's focused on their mid and bot side to actually play through that way. But I don't know if that's a style like they want to have, or if it was just this game they wanted to try it and it worked really well. Because there's just different things that they do. Like if you look at statistics for things, the jungle proximity difference on their team, Broken Blade has the highest jungle proximity difference of all the top laners,
And
like
Impact has the
5% more,
lowest, right?
something like that.
Yeah.
But like 5% for like jungle proximity difference is insane.
Yeah.
Like the next closest was like 1%. So that's a bit of a big gap, and that's from like regular season. So I don't remember exactly because like I'm not playing TSM, so I haven't come back and like watched all their games to make sure like, oh, did that just come from like the start of the season where they were messing up 2v2s around it, or if it was also coming from later. But I feel like that's a bit strange to have when Broken Blade also isn't actually winning top lane a lot. Like he's not like outperforming his opponent in laning. Like he does fine when it comes to like team fighting, and like he's doing a good job at that. But like actual laning, he's getting the most jungle attention. And then on average, like even looking at CSD and not looking at matchups, it's low. Then if you look at the actual matchups and expected, like what it should be, it's also low.
Yeah.
And that whole part's strange. So I feel like if TSM is able to play around their mid and bottom and get advantages there, they can match up well against TL. I think Impact's a good top laner, but it's on the same thing where he's not hard stopping lanes that he's playing either.
But
he's not a lane dominant player, but
what
he
Impact
can still
is,
play the lanes.
Impact is a map dominant player. Like what he's really good at is just using his windows correctly and creating as much space as possible for his team. Like you're not playing Impact because he's like Hooney, he's going to go up like 30-60 CS in that lane matchup, right? Like Hooney did against Broken Blade, right? For me, the most interesting and I think the biggest gap is going to be jungle. Like I think Acadian has just been so inconsistent this split, and you saw that as a microcosm in the C9 TSM series, where his first 2 games were absolutely miserable. And I think game 4, when it was Svenskar and Jarvan versus his Rek'Sai, like he didn't do anything special that game either. It was just Sven, like I don't know what Sven was thinking, but his path was super atrocious, where he's like sitting in Raptor Pit and like their side Raptors for a minute, not doing anything and not farming his topside camps. So, you know, he naturally got an advantage through that, but it's not like Acadian has been doing anything particularly special or good across like that series. And I think generally in the regular season he's been kind of a weaker point, where I don't know if he's like calling those 2v2s or like calling for that topside pressure, but he's putting his help in the wrong places and he's getting kind of exploited across the map for it. And I think Xmithy is the type of jungler who is really good at exploiting when you overstay on helping laners like push out or whatever. So for me, that's going to be the biggest difference is, does Acadian fix those inconsistencies in time, and can he fix that on like such a large stage? So
I think for both teams though, the way the top lane players match up benefits both of them. Like they're both kind of getting what they want.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that part kind of evens out, but I would still like give the edge just of the way the teams play to the Impact side of things. Which to that point is going to depend on draft, like the champions are playing, whether it's actually helpful for him or not.
That's true.
But I don't know if TSM's able to play that whole early game where they can like actually dominate stuff through like mid and bottom, and how like Bjerg, Sven, and Smoothie play around each other. I think stylistically, like it's really good for them, because if you can shut down what TL is doing in bottom and mid, like you're hurting the way they want to play the game. So I think they're fairly similar in that regard. I just feel like I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I feel like I want TSM to win because of like their 3 players on like mid and bottom, but I feel like TL is still gonna win.
Yeah, for me, it's like if you put that mid and bot like against each other across 5 games and nothing else on the map matters, like that's an amazing series. That's really quality. It would be absolutely amazing. But then you look at that top side and how that top side can affect the rest of the map, and I just think like TL, again, Xmithy has that more consistent pressure, honestly, across the map, doesn't overstay the same way Sven did in game 4, etc. And like Impact uses his windows way better than Broken Blade does in that kind of those mid-game situations. And I just see TL kind of slowly accruing advantages off of their top side. But that bot side, I think, is also draft dependent, where it's like who's getting the counter picks, who's getting the pushing lanes, etc. Right? And for me as well, how Smoothie uses his pushing lane is like super smart. It's very intelligent. I think the way that he gets vision on bot side, and like I learned so much about warding and like tricky wards from what Smoothie does, basically. Like he is so good at finding these wards that don't get swept easily and don't get pink warded easily. And if he gets even a little bit of breathing room, he lights up that side of the jungle for his team. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they get priority on bot lane, what they're able to do with that. And I think that can kind of neutralize the topside advantage and the topside pressure that you can get from TL's side. So,
do you think it would be worth it for Team Liquid then? I mean, I would say the top side, of course, is the biggest kind of mismatch. Would it be worth it for them to just say, we could try and hard win this, or we could just make sure that bot for TSM, bot and mid just can't really do much, because even if topside for TSM wins, that's not how it necessarily translates to a game win for them. Do you think it would be worth it to just say, all right, Impact, you do what you have done for so long, and even though you just played 3 carries, we'll put you on a tank for most of the series because it's against Broken Blade, and we'll just sit bot. And
I don't think they'll just dump him on a tank, because then that's going to really help Broken Blade out. And I don't think it's like, I'm not going to say it's like a huge mismatch. Like I think Impact is very, very good against him. But like if nothing's happening topside, it's good for Broken Blade because he's gonna not get abused for like laning phase, and just by being up against Impact, he's not gonna get as hard abused as like maybe he should. So he's gonna get the scale on whatever he's playing. But at the same time, if they put focus up there, I think they're just opening themselves up to getting abused on bottom side. If like TSM suddenly is doing more stuff around that, like transitioning their mid pressure to bottom, and that can be problematic for them. I don't think it's like just a clear case of, oh, if they do this, it's going to be good or bad.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's like a huge, it's not like a toss up. It's just really draft dependent towards, okay, who's going to actually find out that this is like a huge strength for them when they're playing these champions and can keep that rolling in the series. Cause
in series meta matters a lot too, right?
Like that huge, change a lot.
That huge Rek'Sai priority that suddenly shot up in both series. Like
Lysandra for y'all series, not so good. Lysandra for the TSM Fox series.
I mean, that's a whole other story. But like, I think Rek'Sai is just the Cadian's most comfortable champ. Let's say he gets pulled off that. Like, do those inconsistencies show more, and then does that change the way the map is played overall? That's something that I'd love to see kind of across the series and see how TSM adapts. So
so do you think, because I wouldn't say like either lane or any of the bottom three would ever, I feel like those 6 players are really good at gracefully losing. So I guess that's also something to consider, where even if they are losing, hopefully it's gracefully, and if you can actually destroy jungle or top.
I mean, the way TSM drafts is they don't really care about Bjerg's lane. No, Bjerg's lane.
Bjerg. Oh yeah, that's right.
They don't it's not that they don't particularly care, it's just that like they know that he can lose gracefully. And the same with like putting Sven on Ezreal. Like Ezreal can be a very exploitable champ in lane if you get the right picks. But
just their safety net thing.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they were down 0-2 and
they went
like even in scrims like throughout the season, like that would be something they would do if they were like down in scrims and just randomly drop on Ezreal. It happened throughout the split too. But I mean, it's not like a bad thing.
No, Ezreal's a good champ still.
It's just you can tell they have those comfort things that they'll drop onto. And that can tell you a lot about like the mentality of a team, like going into that game. Like they already are kind of on the back foot, like knowing they kind of need to do this, and this is how they can guarantee a win. Or at least they feel like personally this is how they can get more of a chance for a win. I don't know. I just think from playing both teams and then like watching them actually play, it just feels super TL one-sided, even though I don't think it should be. But it feels like TL is just, it's super one-sided for them because I still think like C9 should have just 3-0'd TSM. Like they got Baron twice and then just they got Baron twice and just like I can't stop myself from dying.
And they had Jinx and they didn't they didn't use Zillion properly like 3 times.
They just came out of base with Baron and died. And then they got Baron again and they came out and died. Like
and then that Elder fight, like it was really rough. But it was like that, and then game 4, like they basically like C9 basically threw game 4 on their own, in my opinion. Like with
that was game 4, right?
Game 4 was Zed.
But like just the way Sven pathed, I think was really brutal.
And that's not to say TSM don't deserve to be there. Like not at all. Like they won. Like they more than deserve to be there.
Reverse sweeping is pretty much.
C9's gonna break down like after that like 2 games and they lose one and then they're just gonna sweep. Like TSM deserves it for sure.
100%.
But I just feel like TL's just better.
I think the other like positive thing about that is the fact that Acadian and Broken Blade, the 2 newer players, didn't just full tilt after that. Like 2-game hard stomp, and then really 3rd game stomp until weird throw. So
we'll see how I just like to see how everyone plays in an arena, because I totally think that's just such a different mindset.
Very different.
And that's the real question. Because it's Acadian's first playoffs. Broken Blade, of course.
I mean, playoffs is in the studio. Like, you know what the studio is like. It's a known quantity.
It's the same feeling.
But being in the arena, like at Chaffetz, right? Chaffetz Arena. Like any arena like that. I mean, you've probably been to those arenas covering those events. Like, you know what that's like. The environment is just so different. the way you prepare, the way you do your routine,
The walkout.
everything is so different. So
Even when we played in like Miami, it was like a small, like
Yeah.
it wasn't
It's like a theater.
small, but it was a theater, so it wasn't
Yeah.
as big, and you could tell players felt different.
Yeah.
Like I think like our whole series was a stomp against Clutch when we played them.
yeah,
Purely because of the fact that like the mental game, like on
Yeah.
our side, like you get pumped up and like
Yeah.
the crowd's hyped for you, like
It
it feels
completely
really good.
changes.
And the other side, they're not like in an advantageous spot like early on in the game because of what they're picking.
yeah.
And they already feel down from losing, and I feel like it can hit certain players differently, and
Yeah.
like they must have been feeling something on that side.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know at least like, do they play in like a big? Because I know like
big.
Turkey. No, I'm saying like for Turkey for like Broken Blade since he's
finals,
played like over there for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know what they like during the week. I know it's not like they don't have a big studio that
Yeah.
people are there.
Maybe
for.
they-
Like, it's
I-
something, but it's not like that.
Maybe I'm not too sure about TCL.
Yeah,
but-
I don't know if they play finals in.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's always a bit different. Like
Yeah.
Australia, they literally play in a studio with no fans. It's just like a small room,
And then
and you just play in a room,
finals
and
is
then
different.
only finals for summer. Finals for
okay.
spring, you play in the same room.
Same studio.
You play in the same room, don't go anywhere. But then finals for summer, you're in like a big arena, and
Oh,
it's
really?
like, okay, that's got to feel different
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
got to feel like a huge.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah.
50 games over here and then
Culture
one game
shock.
over here.
No,
Yeah.
I mean it definitely matters, right?
Well, so if mental is really important, which it is obviously, but you look at Team Liquid, who
Very
Jensen,
experienced.
well, very experienced, but then you also say like, okay, Jensen is like
Jensen
he's
choker.
known as a choker,
Yeah.
which
Sure.
I mean, I don't really know. But then like Liquid just as well, like they go, a lot of those players have gone to Worlds and almost made it, and then when they just really need just win this one last one, can't do it. They did the same at MSI last year in a tiebreaker.
But that's all internationally, right?
That's all internationally, which yeah, of course they haven't really choked domestically.
Yeah.
But then I mean, you look at TSM and they had they were down 0-2 and then they came back. Maybe they're feeling momentum.
Yeah.
Team Liquid was on a slump. Obviously, it didn't affect them last week.
They should be feeling momentum after
They should
that
also
one.
be feeling momentum.
Yeah.
But who do you feel like has the better mental game? We don't have to go too far deep into this. but-
Probably, this is purely speculation, but
Yeah, yeah.
my guess is TL, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it should be TL
Yeah.
based on the fact that they've all been there.
Yeah.
I think the only person it could maybe weigh on more is just Jensen because like he wants to win it.
Really
Like he wants to
wants this.
finally win it.
Yeah.
That's why he's on TL was
Yeah.
to win it.
Yeah.
But even then, like he's been there so many times. Like I'm sure it's faded a bit.
And it's against
like,
Bjergsen again.
Yeah, TSM, it's literally just okay. How are Arcadian and Broken Blade gonna handle this? And we have no idea.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
can't tell. So
Exactly.
I just have to assume it favors TL.
Because it's 1 versus 2.
It's like 4 known quantities versus 3 known
Yeah.
quantities.
Yeah,
So-
pretty much.
All right, so how then do both of these teams lose? Like when you go in and you're like, we have to exploit them. Team Liquid plays through bot. TSM doesn't have a style. But what would you like if there was a thing that you were looking at? Is like we know that we can always win around something. Does it exist for
Like
either
everyone
one?
knows TL, like they know they can win around double lift.
Yeah.
Like that. That's always the case that they can do that. But
Yeah.
I think everyone's known that for a while now. And it's not like knowing that has given people an insane advantage over them, considering
Yeah.
they've been first place for a while.
30 splits.
I will say one of the tendencies that we picked up on when we were preparing for the series is just how poorly TL wards around mid. Like Jensen, the way he wards for himself is really bad, and the way that Xmithy wards for mid specifically is really bad. The other thing is the way Xmithy prior to our series plays around top is really, really poor. So for over the last 4 weeks, I think Xmithy spends an average of 22 seconds top per game from 0 to 16 minutes. So that's over the last 8 games, he's only spent 22 seconds top from 0 to 16 minutes, and he wards poorly around mid. So if TSM picks up on the fact that TL's warding around mid is like generally not great, like obviously they do the basics of like double pinking when they have priority, like double pinking river and dot bush, but generally like Jensen doesn't do a good job warding for himself, and Xmithy doesn't really help him with warding. Then if TSM can pick up on that, I think that it can get a strong mid jungle like they did in the Echo Fox series with constant Lissandra Rek'Sai, and then try and break open the map through mid, just through like that sheer force of that 2v2. So that's one way I can see kind of TSM gaining favor in that best of 5, but that's something that we tried to pick up on that it didn't work out so well in our series, obviously, but
Yeah.
I think that information is like useful for a TSM victory.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be a lot more useful if they had someone who was lane dominant enough in like top to abuse the fact that there's not a lot of pressure up there that force TL to need to do more.
100%.
But like I said, because I don't think TL is going to feel forced to do too much, because even when like they're putting all this attention top, it's not getting them a huge advantage.
Yeah.
I don't think it does too much for like this type of team specifically.
That's why I think
internationally they'll always get like exposed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And depending on meta, they can be either really OP because it doesn't matter, or it'd be really bad
because
it
it can
doesn't
hang
matter.
in so well. Yeah.
Like it just depends. Like I think TL is still gonna have that kind of. It's not necessarily a bad thing that they can play around this super well and not so great around the other one, but it's definitely a hole.
Yeah, that's why I think the mid situation specifically is like way more of a focus. Can be way more of a focus point for their victory, because like Inero said, like, top doesn't change that much.
Yeah,
so.
and both of those players are also very top off as well.
Yes, I mean,
and
you saw Bjerg's and Kali. Like,
yeah,
Bjerg is definitely mad.
You want to either ban or first pick that for Team Liquid. I do want to touch on international really quickly. Before we do that, I wanted to call out. Are there either team that you feel like has an edge with a specific champ or draft style? So Sonatarek is obviously huge right now. Any other kind of like niche picks that one team has to worry about that the other doesn't, that might make a difference?
And if TSM really focuses on like blinding Kalista, I'm pretty sure they'll just get Tristana immediately. Like Double has been playing a lot of Tristana in solo queue. This is not like a scrim thing. It's just he's been playing it a lot. So, you know, Tristana is a pretty classic counter to the Kalista paired with like an Alistar, Braum, or Galio or something. So I'd be wary if TSM airs on like going back to that. But because I'm pretty sure TL doesn't really play Kalista, or they haven't shown a penchant for playing it. So
they haven't really picked it.
Yeah.
But they could play it. I know the fact that TSM can play the Kalista side is something that's also very good for them too.
Yeah.
Or at least they've shown that they can do it.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the scrim meta is like evolved to, because sometimes randomly like those picks that are like hotly contested in Korea and other regions just don't show up.
Yeah.
Like they just stop showing up. Like it can still, the whole meta could change just like over this week of scrims where they're doing stuff internally where it's just like, okay, now they play something completely different.
And then both teams flex Jace.
Yeah, both teams flex.
Yeah, that popped up like the last 2 weeks. It wasn't happening like the week like before we played. Like no one was flexing Jace.
Yeah, and then
I
also
don't know what to think about it. I don't think it's very
good.
Amazing. Like you're doing it to try to, like you're picking it on blue side and then flexing it in hopes that something they show on 4-pick is like, okay, I can now hard counter this.
Yeah,
because a lot of people
super unlikely because people might pick a flex on red.
Because no one wanted to like blind. Like usually what would happen, no one wants to blind mid and like 1, 2, 3, 4 on red when you show Jace, because they want to counter pick mid since Jace is usually going to win top.
Yeah.
So everyone would take like a Jarvan top play into a Poppy or like Yorick or something, and then I guess this just evolved because they were like, wait, I can screw teams doing this and get something.
The other awkward part is like if you pick Jace and then they pick Aurelia, which some people like that matchup top, and then you're like showing Aurelia and your bot lane and your jungle as the 4, and then they have to show something on the 4/5, and then you're like, well, I'll just put Aurelia wherever the Jace is, and I'll counter that 4/5.
Yeah.
So,
which is, it's always possible. I just don't know what to think of it. Like I think you have to get such a big advantage out of putting Jace mid and then putting something somewhere else. Like you need to get a big advantage out of that because he's just okay mid.
Yeah, and you need like specific junglers to work to make it really good in mid. Like you saw TSM do that with Gragas. People can do it with Sejuani. Zach was like okay, but Zach's not really meta right now. And if you do it with like Rek'Sai J4, you're indexing into a lot of AD damage, which can be a little difficult in the draft.
Yeah, I like when they did it with Sonatarek. I think when you put Jace mid with that, it's good.
Yeah, because you get like wave clear and you get mid priority, whereas you might not get bot priority and stuff. So yeah.
So we're about to move on. Two things quickly. One, do you think Impact plays more carries or tanks in the series?
More carries or tanks?
Bruisers,
Yeah,
I guess.
What do bruisers count as?
You can't cheat.
No, but what do bruisers
bruisers
count as?
Yeah.
Are they carries? Because I feel like they're kind of carries.
I feel like they probably lean more towards carries.
I would say carries then, yeah.
Try carries.
Carries. Match the Broken Blade style.
It's kind of what everyone's playing. Like,
Yeah.
no one's really playing
Tanks aren't really
too
that
much.
meta.
Yeah. People playing tanks into Jace.
Or Rise.
And that's kind of, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Will we see the Sonateric or no?
Does singing in bands count as seeing it?
Yeah.
Because it just depends on game one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We're either going to see it game one
So
randomly,
Or we're not.
or
Or
we're
we're
going to
seeing
see
it when
Tarek band.
It's either
Or like a
that
game
or
3
we're
or-
going to see it when a team is like on their last game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, okay, we can't ban this now. Let's flip a coin and hope for the best.
Yeah.
We'll pick Tarek and
Yeah.
hope that they don't just have some other strat with Sona involved.
Yeah, 100%.
Which team do you feel like would do better internationally? And then we're going to go on to some Twitch chat questions.
I again think it would be super meta dependent because of top lane, because top meta will change everything. But I think TL would just be way better.
The way
But I think both are gonna do.
Yeah,
I don't think
both are gonna do.
the way that the patch looks like right now, like the PvE stuff, I think TL just would look like those Gnar buffs are so good for impact. And then I guess if those Fiora buffs go through to maybe Broken Blade. I've never seen him play Fiora, but like
if he plays Riven,
I think it's got to be TL favorite for sure.
Yeah,
I think for both, you can never be like too confident in it because of the fact that just depending on meta, like top lane, Impact can play carries, but TL has shown like over time that
they don't want to.
It's
play
not something that they
Impact.
don't play to that like exceptionally well. I know they've tried the split with doing J stuff, which
and the
is good to see.
Yorick and stuff.
So like I imagine they've practiced this and they're trying to get better at it, which is going to lean itself to making them better for international because they're going to be more versatile, able to do more. And I don't feel like TSM are like close to that point yet with playing on Broken Blade. Like it's his first year playing in a major region with this, so internationally he's going to need more time to like build up. Like I know Licorice went from last year going and playing, but Licorice was also
in spring,
really doing well in lane like all the time. And they played through top, it was good. So that you could have more confidence, like okay, this will translate. But Broken Blade doesn't have that yet at all. I don't think. So it's gonna be hard because he's gonna need to develop more. While Licorice just had time to like develop actually playing in a major region for a bit.
Yeah. So still kind of leaning towards experience and just a little. It's no more consistent. You would say.
TL just has more of a chance to be consistently good, getting to Worlds and then doing like okay job at Worlds. I don't think they would do enough to like contest winning or anything, but they would do an okay job, and they could do better depending on meta. But otherwise, I think it's the same as like last Worlds, where a team like C9, even though they can't win domestically against TL, it just fit them better what the meta changed into, and they could play that much better.
Yeah, because it was like group stage was like you play through your Kaisa, and then suddenly like Victor shows up.
C9 could play the meta that TL was playing, but TL was better at it when they're both head to head. But once the meta changed, C9 was just better than them.
Exactly.
So it all depends.
So you both are saying Liquid though for the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And game predictions?
3-1, I think.
I would say 3-1 or 3-0.
Oh yeah, all right.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a 5-game one.
Yeah.
Let me
if
check.
it is, cool. That's sick.
Yeah,
I would love
good,
to see a
good
5-game
spectator
final.
experience at the
But
GGS
I think it would be
facility.
3-1. Oh yeah.
So do y'all want to guess what you think Twitter voted?
TSM probably.
I don't know.
It's TSM, but only by one vote. Actually,
Interesting.
it's 52% TSM. But yeah, so I guess hopefully we will see a game 5.
No, a lot of people want them to win. I would like to see TSM win.
Yeah.
But
even though you just think they're both doomed internationally, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, it's not like they're both doomed. It's just
They'll get us the first seed to Worlds, like.
I've seen
that's
enough
all I want.
of TL at Worlds to know that it can be problematic.
Yeah.
But I do think they upgraded like what they're doing, and that it can be. I don't know.
They're actually,
I hope it's better. I really want it to be better.
Yeah, they actually showed
Really
like compared to previous instances that they want to branch out.
Yeah, they're definitely better than last year. So then it just depends on like these other teams coming in, because I think Europe looks a lot better too overall.
Yeah.
So
well, they actually, I think they look less consistent now though. So maybe higher ceiling, but they're also hitting the floor.
But that's okay. I would rather I would rather have a higher ceiling. Just
Five.
generally.
I think G2 will be pretty insane overall. I think people put a lot of extra emphasis on
the low points.
the end of year when you're literally
When you're
what
playing
you're
with
locked in for
Bronski.
playoffs. I've been in that situation.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It
Same
actually
happened with
straight up
Liquid,
doesn't
so.
matter. You get first place and it's like guaranteed your top two.
Yeah. Who cares?
Who cares about the seeding? Because it essentially means nothing. Especially with the way that Europe did theirs.
Yeah, because
Like you're gonna play the first place and second one anyway, so you already know you're playing each other. So who cares?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go on to some Twitch questions. Just real quick, just to honor these guys. One for Invert. Santorin made a huge turnaround in his career this year. What do you think was kind of some of the driving factor behind that for him?
Nice pun.
Say what?
Nice pun. Driving factor.
He did a drive.
That episode made me really happy and sad because I did a full feature literally like a week before that, and it like hit my editor the day before that dropped, and he was like, "I'm editing this, and then we'll release it." Literally, we had it planned to like release like the day after the drive came out, and I was just like,
"We could have warned you."
My whole story. No, it was a great episode though, and obviously I'm very happy for him. Do you feel like he can continue to kind of compete with the top junglers?
Oh yeah, Lucas is an amazing jungler.
Yeah.
Has always been a really good jungler, but has just been in really tough situations. I think his mentality is really good. The way he brings up his teammates is really good, and yeah, he can play anything, and he's constantly communicating with other junglers and learning what's good, and has a great work ethic. So yeah, I'm just very high on him. I think
he's very good.
Yeah, he is very good.
Yeah. So there wasn't necessarily like a turnaround though, because he's just been good. It just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, that's what
I mean, last year when I was working at Dark like Santorin, Santorin Medios are like two of the junglers you respected the most.
Yeah.
Like they were just consistently good, like being in the right places, doing the right thing. Yeah. Like I think he's just been good the whole time.
Yeah, and he's just been in bad situations.
Yeah,
That's
like I've said, he's
honestly-
underrated enough that at this point I don't think I can say he's underrated.
Not
anymore. He's rated.
Yeah.
But I think he still doesn't get enough like credit all the time from everyone, like understanding like how good he's been for so long.
Which
He's
is
been good.
Which is why I'm really glad that like Riot did that piece and also that he got that interview and was able to like really show the fruits of his labor. So
it's great for him. Inero, some personalities in the scene like Thorin. Criticized Deftly for not being a stable carry for Golden Guardians, similar to like Doublelift is. What do you think of that kind of comment, that notion? And are you working with him to try and make him more of a like stable carry, or is that not necessarily a concern that you have?
The whole team is working with him to grow to be like just develop. Like last year, I don't think was him able to develop very well because they weren't winning enough to actually like winning in practice, winning on stage. They weren't winning enough to actually be able to consistently learn like, okay, this game I did this wrong with how I'm like pushing my lead, but the next game I have a lead, I can do this. They didn't have enough games where they could just go from like game to game and like get that. I think this year has helped him a lot with like getting better with that, and the whole team is like trying to support him on that. Because for like laning with stuff, stability wise, extremely stable on that end. Like the whole team has trust that like definitely in OLA, especially towards like the end of the season. Laning wise, we're good. Like in our series against you, we knew if we just blinded Varus TK, we were gonna win bottom.
Yeah.
Like we knew every single time.
Oh,
You guys banned it.
Yeah.
So like the first game you saw, like we literally played that throughout scrims. Every single game we were basically sitting on like a 20 CS difference. Like it was just, we knew it.
Yeah.
And anything they were playing, they were very stable and knew they could get advantages. So like I said, when we're looking at players, and this is something we looked at in off season, like when me and Dan came to GGS and we're like building out the roster, looking at laning phase and how they are outside of the game, like I answered before, very stable in laning phase. Like he had a very clear idea of how he wanted to push his lane and do better about it, and he was very focused about doing that. Yeah. So now he's focusing more on how he can actually like push himself to do more in the game with the leads. So like I have a lot of confidence in him. I know the rest of the coaching staff has confidence in him. Like the team as a whole believes in him to do more and to do better, and like he's doing well. Like sure, he's not Doublelift yet, but I mean give the man some time. Like I'm essentially looking at it as like this is his first split, like actually in LCS, like actually competing and getting better on it, and it means a lot to like be able to learn under that. Like Licorice is going to do really well. He came in under C9, got to grow in a team that's winning and like learn what he can do better to win. like Broken Blade's doing the same, coming in on the team that's like winning. Like he's gonna learn more because of that. He's gonna get more experience.
Even Viper too.
Yeah, like it just helps all the like young guys when they're on a team that's actually winning and actually able to do a lot. Because like solo too, like I think solo can be really good.
Yeah, solo.
He just needs to be like winning consistently enough, like to actually build on that, like both in scrims and on stage. So as these guys get that, I think it's gonna make him better. So definitely he's got like his first split right now on a team that's winning consistently, doing well. So I think it helps him. I think he'll do a lot better because of it. So
that first playoff situation always gets people like so hungry too.
Yeah.
Like you get there and then you're like, and then you crash out or whatever. Yeah. And you're like,
gotta go get another one.
You want it,
It's like beating the minigame score, you know. Last playoffs I only got 1. This time I'm gonna get 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So a question for the both of you. Any academy players that kind of stood out if you were watching a lot of it, or at least enough of it?
I was watching.
And do you feel like we might see some more like Vipers entering the scene?
I think Lost should be on an LCS team still.
Yes.
I think he could definitely play. I think he should. I'm not saying that.
I mean, I could play. I'd be gray a lot, but
I'm not saying that just because I helped like pick him up to get him on Aquafox in the first place. But I think he's
really
good.
Insane. Yeah,
I think
really good.
Like, no matter who he's playing with, he's doing well, and I don't think he's necessarily had like the best bot lane matchup to go play in.
Yeah,
I think he's having to do a lot of extra like lifting on that.
I agree.
And
he's
doing well.
He has a new coach too, and he's still doing well for himself.
Yeah, and I think Keith still has been playing well in Academy consistently. Like I'd really love to see Keith actually get to try LCS
get another
again.
chance. Yeah, I agree.
Golden Glue I think has been consistent, like doing well. Like I would still like to see him get a chance to like actually play in an LCS team like enough. Those have been like the big standouts for me. Blabber's the same.
Blabber
got more play time, I guess. Yeah. So it's like it's not really a new face, but I guess it's the same for Golden Glue and Keith. They're not really new faces, but having them back consistently enough would be a good thing to see.
Yeah, I would do a special shout out to Tactical.
Yes.
I think Tactical has been performing incredibly well. He
was on the team at Scouting Grounds.
Yeah.
He
won.
He's really good.
He won the
Academy Finals.
He won the Academy Finals.
He's been really, really good for them all split. And Treats, too. Like, I think Treats is a real... I mean, I always thought Treats was very good, but he really showed his stuff this split. And then...
all the way from Canada.
Yes. Imagine, like, he's, like, going to drop the Rockley weights in summer. Yeah. Like, get that guy on 8 ping, like, honestly. And then...
It looked a lot like 8 ping to me. Just saying.
And then I think special shout out to a couple of FlyQuest Academy guys, because I think No and Maxi, top and jungle, played incredibly well this split. And you know, Maxi played
great
tiebreaker.
Yeah, he won the tiebreaker.
Well. And No, you know, despite...
You're supposed to omit your own team.
But
now you just make me look at
But you know, for No, Alvin, our top laner, he had the highest KD of all tops in Academy.
Oh, wow.
For the entire split. And his like numbers are really good. It's just the team situation was a little weird that split, but I think our top jungle performed very, very well, and you got to see kind of that on stage a little bit, which I'm really proud of. So really good for those guys. And then
Dardock too.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dardock.
Does he count as a new face?
But I think
it would be very good to see him back in LCS, in my opinion.
But I think Dardock was
we saw him half of this year.
I think he was like a little inconsistent in Academy specifically. So I just like to see him like clean up that a bit. But jungle is team difference too, so who knows?
It'd be very good to see Josh back.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the LEC playoff format?
I like double elimination, but if there's a way to expand it so that maybe it's like 4 teams double elimination instead of 2 teams double elimination, I think that'd be really cool.
Is there even double elimination for their finals? Like, if
G2
like loses at the end, they just lose.
No, but it's double elimination because they got 2 chances to go to finals.
Yeah.
Right?
To go to
but at the same time, it's like they win 3-0, but then they lose 3-0 to like Origin.
Yeah,
they technically
don't get to
3-3
on
the same patch, but then Origin's like, oh, we won.
Yeah, but we won.
Like that can kind of that part I think is a little bit suspect. Like maybe not the best in the world, but
I feel like there's a way to do double elimination properly in League. But obviously, it's not the same as fighting games. Where
It'd
you
be
can't
longer.
have like
It would be longer.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would just not like watching that much League.
It's just too long.
It's a bit much because like even our playoff format right now, like it still takes like
it's a month.
decent amount
It's
of
literally
time.
a month.
So if you add more to that,
we
like
could
are we looking at a 2-month like playoff or what?
We switch to like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or is it?
I mean,
our playoffs?
I've always been an advocate for stretching LCS throughout the week, but there's obviously some like production difficulties with that, right? But I think it'd be really cool to have like matches throughout the week the same way Korea does, and
Yeah, it'd be cool.
be able to do that.
I would like it for sure.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I think the format's kind of cool. I like at least what we did this split, where first seed gets to pick who they play.
yes,
Yeah.
Like that.
They did that in
that
Academy.
should be happening.
They did that in Academy, and that was
Like,
last season. That was really
in our
good.
first split where it was us and 100 Thieves or whatever. Like when we were already like set for top 2.
Thieves, right?
Oh no, like in regular season, we were already set for top 2. Like we were
yeah.
playing 100 Thieves at the end. We put in like academy players so that they could just get time on stage to actually play because it didn't matter. Like the result literally didn't matter.
Yeah,
it was okay. It's gonna be us or 100 Thieves top 2 guaranteed. So this means nothing if we're first, but means nothing if we're second. So
Yeah.
let's let academy players play. It doesn't matter. That should matter. Like
It should. Yeah.
because we weren't screwing anyone else over if we lost. Like, it didn't matter because we were playing 100 Thieves. But that should have felt like an actual
Like a
important
real
game
game.
Yeah.
we needed to play. Like because looking at it, like if it would have mattered, like we would have played 100 Thieves or Clutch and like semis, and we would have just been in finals against TL.
Yeah,
Like, it would have been really
that's true,
straightforward.
actually. Yeah,
Because like scrims that week, like both us and TL were complaining to like each other about how we're just stomping the other opponent, and it would have
Remember
been
y'all
good.
saying that in the press conference afterwards.
Yeah, we knew we were the second best team, and like sure that's just kind of like BM to say or whatever, but like that's how it was going in practice, so we all felt that way. And I don't know. I like that there's a first seed where you get to actually pick now.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think there should be a reward, and the whole season should feel impactful, so the end doesn't just become a mess where everyone's just messing around. And
I
then,
definitely
like,
agree.
the borderline playoff teams might just get screwed because one team doesn't care about playing anymore
Like
and they're just trying stuff.
like CLG 100 Thieves, right? Where they were still in playoff contention.
Oh,
on
that one-
Saturday,
that one just-
but they're playing 100 Thieves Academy. Like
Yeah.
it's a little wonky.
It
Obviously,
could
it's
be
their
different.
team, so it's their decisions too.
Yeah,
So
so I think everything
always
should
fun.
have like some importance still throughout
Yeah.
the whole regular season.
So let's close out. We're a little over time.
It's all good.
Keeping y'all here longer.
No worries.
So we're picking them. Let's see. Yeah. So before we go, do either of you have any advice of the day? We did this last
Advice
week.
of the day?
We got one really good quote. Like if you were a fortune cookie.
Don't drink a lot of water before you do a podcast.
No, I gotta
Don't do that.
go. Yeah, I have like 2 full
I'm
water
sure
bottles.
everyone's
to
noticed on
that.
stream I've been
I'm
like
sorry.
bouncing my leg the whole time. I really have to pee.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
All right, we'll get
That's
out
a
of here
life lesson.
quick. Anything for you?
Do your taxes if you're an American.
If you're not an American,
Or
probably
if you're
do
working
your taxes.
if you're working in America, well, the deadline
Like you're
for
Canadian, you can't say that, man.
But I'm saying, like, in the United States, the tax deadline's soon. Please do your taxes.
Yeah, please do that.
And do not, like, try not to get audited by the IRS because that's probably a painful experience. I have no experience. It's my first year doing them, but plees do your taxes.
Yeah, so do your taxes and don't drink water.
Well,
Don't
stay hydrated, but don't drink water. What you have to do?
Don't
Do
chug
drink
2
water.
water bottles
Yeah.
right before a podcast.
Podcast.
Lastly, actually, and I was supposed to prep you guys on this. So if you,
We'll wing it. Let's do it.
let's wing it then.
Let's wing it.
Do y'all want to do a bet for your first game?
For our first game.
Yeah, for like first game of summer.
First game of summer, what's the bet?
What's the bet?
Give us an idea.
So
You're the
my
best.
thought was you'd have to cosplay each other, just because I think it would be really
So I have
funny.
to wear the like
that
aquarium
you'd have to
shirt?
wear like
You just
the
come out with like
aquarium-
fake chest hair.
and like you put on like a curly hair wig or something,
get the
and like be
beard.
grumpy.
Be grumpy?
Oh, sorry,
What does this mean?
that was the meme that was the only thing I picked up on.
I'll try
at
to
scouting
go
grounds.
like.
Yeah.
Was they were like,
one
oh, that's
oc-
Nick. He's always mad.
I'll go
I
like.
just have like a resting asshole face.
I'll go
I'm
like
not
one
mad.
octave lower on my
Yeah.
voice.
Just so you guys
Yeah,
it's
you're
over.
Right. So here, I think we're gonna go ahead and lock in.
Pickle Sandra.
And then I'm gonna play 3 prior lanes.
I mean, it's the way to win. It's the way to learn for sure.
But any ideas on a bet?
I mean, I like that. I like the cosplay.
That's
one.
pretty
I think
interesting.
it's not bad.
But
for,
is it-
for the next day,
So is it like our first game?
or
against each other?
maybe. Oh, for the how about this?
Yeah.
If you like, whoever loses the first game has to cosplay. Yeah, the second game, like the second half of the split, cosplay as the other coach.
Sure.
I'm
Okay.
down.
On
I'll
stage.
take that bet.
On stage.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wait, check on it. On the
Check on
camera.
it? All right. We're good. We bet on it.
Sweet. All right. I will remind you.
Sounds good. I'll remember it. I just have to somehow find the footage.
I'll
Don't-
send you.
Sure.
I'll send
Don't
you like
claim
one of
like,
those
defeat
memes
already.
that's like dress like, and then I'll get you the little.
Awesome. Thanks again so much for joining. I
Yeah, of course.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you all for watching as well. I think that's going to do it for us. I don't think we're going to do one afterward, but if so, we'll let you know.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks again. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Esports One, of course, for hosting as well, and for the stats,
Guys.
Yeah.
and for the water.
Yes.
100%.
And for
Yeah.
the trophy.
And for the trophy and the shirts. But yeah, thank you so much, and we will catch you next time.
Enjoy St. Louis, guys. Cheers.
See ya.